You'll wait about the 30 seconds or so for YouTube to catch up, and we will get a move on here. So waiting and waiting and waiting. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. "35 seconds, so we should be coming up any second now. Still waiting. Still waiting. Here we come. All right. Hey, no ad to start today. What do you know? All right. Let's see. Motimer can see me. Healthy Disrespect, Scott, New York Budget Prepper, Red Bimmer, Circe, Adam, Emma, HGS, and now it gets going too fast. Cool. Happy Saturday, guys. All right. Hope you all had a wonderful day. Around here, it was kind of fun. It was a little bit more of Mrs. P and driver's ed today, so she's still doing her practice driving and going on around, getting better and better every time she's going, a little more confident. That was good. I think I told you guys Tuesday that PBJ was going to be here this weekend. She's been here for a couple of days, and so we've had some good daddy-daughter time and did some fun stuff and did something today that made dear old dad very proud. We went to the range. She's never fired a weapon before in her life. So we took her out with the 22 pistol to start, and she put about 50 rounds through that. And then I had one of my 9s with me, and she wanted to shoot that. She did pretty good for first time at 25-yard target, 25 yards, something like that. She had shot groups chest size, no problem. First, with both the 22 and the 9. So dad was proud. Dad was happy. So, but dad was also watching like a hawk. So you can imagine, make sure we didn't do anything like, oh, we're going to point over. No, that ain't happening. So that was good. So, as she said, she goes, she wants to be good at everything. So I appreciate that very much. It was kind of fun doing that. And then let's see, we went out. Muscadines are starting to ripen. So we're out picking muscadines. And you can sit there if you want. That's fine.
I'm not in it. I just want to watch.
And now she's sitting right here to my right. At least say hi. There's a hand.
Hi.
So yes, the camera shyness in my family, right? Because, with me too. So muscadines are coming in. So we've now picked a couple more, probably 3 or 4 pounds more of muscadines today. And as they come in, they just go in the freezer and they will all get turned into vino. So yes, we're doing the sweet red tonight. So did some of the peach the other day for her. So let her try that out. That was kind of fun. So that's been the great excitement here, as most of you guys are probably harvesting tomatoes, harvesting peppers, corn. My corn's about dried out now. It's already done. I just got to get out and cut down the corn stalks. My cabbage and beets are planted and growing on the picnic table out in the backyard, so they are doing good. So we'll keep the harvest going, keep growing food, and that's the excitement there. So yeah, a little bit of driving, a little bit of weaponry. We actually went bowling last night. Had some fun there. What did we do the other day? What did we do on Thursday? Oh, we just went out with Brett and celebrated her birthday and not graduating, but passing everything first semester. So that was good. So it's been a good few days. Obviously, you guys have only seen one video a day from me. There hasn't been a whole lot going on other than what I've talked about in the mornings. But no need to waste your time or anything like that watching something. I'm not interested in making videos just to make videos. But so it's been a good weekend. She'll head home tomorrow. And then next week, we got to head up to Indianapolis for a couple of days for her white coat ceremony. So that will be fun. But yeah, that's kind of the excitement around here. In the world, of course, we're seeing there's some interesting stuff. I'm going to give you details on in the morning. We'll get into that. But Of course, today you're seeing all the fallout from RFK yesterday and the uh, CNN, MSNBC trying to do whatever they can to sabotage RFK again. Go figure, because if he would have ran against Biden in the primaries, he'd have smoked them. But now it's, oh gee, I think RFK sold me cocaine about 50 years ago. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, oh, okay. It's kind of like, oh, Donald Trump raped me 30 years ago. I don't remember what year or anything like that. Same thing with this, so it's just a smear campaign going on. And then, of course, you get the RFK supporters that, are trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So, some of them are moving to the right. I'm assuming some of them will move to the left. But it is what it is, and this is why I've said for so long it's important to vote. I mean, I had a conversation with a guy this afternoon on Twitter. He's like, well, I can't vote for Trump. But he goes, I don't like Kamala Harris. I'm like, well, dude, it's kind of a binary choice at this point because RFK is not going to win. Jill Stein, Cornel West are not going to win. So, either you throw in your vote away, or if you don't vote, then as I've said a million times, you don't vote, you have no right to bitch. Okay, win or lose, at least you got a right to bitch. You can't take it. You take the time out of your day to go exercise your constitutional right to vote. If you can't be bothered, I don't want to hear anything. So that's pretty much the way I look at it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But now we get into full-blown campaign season, so it'll be interesting to see if Kamala Harris actually does a press conference or an interview, ask a question that she doesn't have a scripted answer to, and just make sure that Trump stays doing what he does. As long as it's not put his foot in his mouth and say something stupid, he should be gliding at this point. We'll see what happens because was it Kamala Harris lost, I think 6 points or something like that in the polls after the convention. That was not good. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so it's going to be an interesting couple of months coming ahead. It keeps me sitting in front of the computer like crazy. It's like finding news all over the place, see what's going on. But, and then trying to put puzzle pieces together as per normal, because if you just take each thing as is, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But when you start putting them together and go, okay, this happened and this happened and this happened, and it's like you can start figuring out where it goes next. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, a month later, exactly what you figured was going to happen happens. And everybody's going, how'd you know that? And it's like, you know what? I pay attention. So, but yes, there was the interesting stuff. So let's get into some Q&A. It's going to be, I will give you, a couple other things. First off, I'm going to give you this. It's going to be a interesting September, just because I know what's coming in the mail for me. If that's a hint for anybody, I've got like 3 or 4 packages already I know that are coming. So we're going to have a Bob Barker September. Give you that. But I did want to give you this update too. So I had posted in the community board, 4 or 5 days ago, that the channel is going to sponsor the bowling team. And so I asked you guys to come up with a bunch of names for the team. And God, there were like 600 plus comments on there. Now, some people had said the same thing or whatever. So if the name we pick is one that 6 people said, whoever was the first one. Okay. But so we've narrowed it down to 10. The 10 best / most creative fun names for the channel. Some of you guys got a little raunchy. Those didn't happen. When you've got a preacher on the team, raunchy names don't work too well. But so we brought it down to the best 10, and I sent them all out to the other 3 guys yesterday. And so hopefully they will pick the name on Monday night when we bowl, and I will let you guys know who's the quote unquote winner, who chose the winning name on Tuesday. So that was kind of fun. So yeah, we will get bowling shirts made up for the team and everything like that. I don't know if I gotta get an artificial arm or maybe a hairpiece or something like that, but yeah. So this is it. So we're having some fun with it, but in talking to the guys and stuff like that, I figure, okay, you know what, we'll have the channel support it and be fun, because they're like, oh, shirts are expensive, and one guy wanted to do it, and the other two guys are like, nah, I don't know. I was like, you know what, I'll tell you what, I'll sponsor it with the channel, and we'll go from there. So, if anybody wants to donate, Cash App's below. You guys can go for that. We'll help there. So, all right. So let's get into Q&A. So you guys know the rules here. If you got questions for me, please put them in all caps. Just makes it a lot easier for me to find the questions. Okay. It's like every other YouTube channel out there. The only rule, as you guys all know, is keep it PG-13. Okay. No getting silly. I mean, yes, I know sometimes you guys, oh, you'll say a 4-letter word. Yeah, okay. It's still going to be PG-13 if you've been to a movie lately. It's not like it's every other word coming out of my mouth. But, and then the only other thing, of course, is be polite to each other. I'm all for disagreement, for good conversation. I mean, the two of us were having a great conversation yesterday on red flag laws. Okay. And, different. I mean, not that we're that far apart, but there is a slight difference. It's not a black and white issue. Like nothing is a black and white issue. But, listening to counterpoints sometimes is good, because not that it's necessarily going to change your opinion, but it gives you a little practice for when you've got the next conversation, you know what's coming. Okay, I'll give you that. So, but just keep it clean. Disagreement is cool. All right, let's get to the top here. Hang on, I got to find where we are. Okay. Wow, a lot of comments already. All right, there's the 5x5s. Okay. So a whole bunch of people saying hello to you.
Hello.
And congratulations to you. Let's see. Tom Merzwinski, did she clean the Pew Pew dispensers? No, that's my job. Okay. And then again, when we put 50 rounds through one and 10 through the other, 15 through the other, ain't that big of a deal. So I'll handle that at this point. Robert Bates, yeah, Pinball is shy like he is short. Yeah, that's about true. Who's your daddy? Says I still look skinny. Hey, yeah, the Michigan trip and the last couple of days hasn't exactly been good on the diet. I gained about 5 pounds. So yeah, it was 5 pounds since like Tuesday. But let's see. Disney Up Boiler Up says a PBJ cameo. I asked, she's sitting right here. If she wants to put her face in the camera, she can. That's up to her. I'm not going to force that. Dawn Hill says, hey, PBJ, congrats on the tests. Storm Chasing Gal, does PBJ know any Russian? No.
I know Hody.
Laura Story, do I save any corn for seed? Okay. What I grow in sweet corn is peaches and cream. Okay. And I got a 1 pound bag of it. So, I mean, I've got corn to plant 5 or 6 years worth out of it. As long as the seed's still viable and I start it in seed trays anyway. No, those I do not save for seed because it's a hybrid. Okay. Now I could, no question, but I'm not gonna, I don't know what the cross is to get peaches and cream. So that I do not save. However, yeah, I know. I never know what your questions are, but stuff's always nearby. Next year, I am growing Jimmy Red field corn. And that is going to be saved for cornmeal or anything like that. And Jimmy Red is a heirloom. It's actually a pretty cool story behind the corn. It was basically extinct, and this is not that many years ago, less than a decade ago. They found 2 ears of the corn and planted it to see if it was still viable, and grew corn and saved seed and multiplied it out and everything like that. But supposedly this is a really good corn for not only cornmeal, but for moonshine. So I'm going to grow a entire garden of that next year and hopefully get myself 50 pounds of corn that way. I've already got cracked corn upstairs like crazy. But that way I've got some of my own as well for multiple uses. Potato Head. Hey everyone, the rally was epic. So much energy. Where the hell was he today? Okay, it was Arizona. I don't know if Trump was on a rally today. I don't know where it was. I know he was in Arizona yesterday. So that one looked like it was epic too. I mean, the stadium was packed from what the videos I saw of it. Caveman, look, does PBJ's friends know her dad is famous? I am not famous. I am just another guy that goes to Walmart. Gus Wolf, if I put her in a ghillie suit, maybe I can get her on camera. Do you know what a ghillie suit is? It's like a camouflage suit. You know, you see the guys that have snipers or whatever it is, and they've got trees and sticks and leaves and everything like that, so they blend in. That's a ghillie suit. So that way nobody can see you. I got to read this one just because. Adam Logston in Fort Wayne, Indiana, stopped through the hellhole cometh. There you go. Well, I mean, it's where home still is. Well, not right now. She's living in Indianapolis. Well, she's at school, but that's home. And obviously, I lived up there for a dozen years. So, Flint McRock, PBJ, do you take gross anatomy?
I just finished it with an A.
She just finished it with an A. How about that? There you go. God's Prepared Warrior. Good question here. What do you think of the inaction of Iran? If you guys remember, we talked about this about a week or so ago, and there was a 2-week agreement between Iran and Israel that, okay, there we go. Okay, I saw and maybe I know there's a lot of channels that are having this issue with all of a sudden it buffering or whatever. You know, if we say a word, I guess maybe Iran is the word or something, or Israel, or who knows. But there was a 2-week agreement, 2-week kind of a ceasefire where they agreed not to bomb each other. And so we'll see what happens because, I mean, the U.S. moved a carrier group in there. I mean, we've got a lot of the Atlantic fleet right now is around the Middle East. So I'd like to see this all end, okay? I'd like to see a ceasefire, not because that's what the pro-Palestinian people want. No, that's not. I just don't want to see a bunch of useless death, okay? That's the problem. You know, the issue that I keep coming up to, and these protesters drive me nuts. It's like, it's genocide, it's all this sort of crap. I'm like, well, you know what? You started it. You know, don't bitch about Israel going in and finishing what you started. Okay, this was it. So, but you know, of course, Iran is supporter of Hezbollah, supporter of Hamas. You know, if Iran cuts them off, maybe that slows stuff down, and that's fine by me. Because my biggest fear is not necessarily what's going back and forth in Gaza. My biggest fear is that it turns into something bigger and our kids, our grandkids are all of a sudden out in the Middle East again. And I'm sorry, but 20 years of that crap, I've had enough of it. Scott McHugh, now that the DNC racist shit show is over with everything black, black, and black, they want the black vote. As soon as they get their vote, the Democrats will forget them. That's always been the truth. I have said that for decades, that they will promise the black community everything up until the Monday before the election. On the Wednesday after the election, they're forgotten. And prove me wrong. Show me something. I mean, Show me under Barack Obama what great things were, the black president, what was done for the black community. You can't, because he did nothing. You know, Joe Biden, and what did they do for the black community? They set them back. They stopped a lot of the Trump policies that helped the black community, and the opportunity zones, the HBCUs, those were asked for. The opportunity, the HBCU funding was asked for from Clinton on. Clinton didn't do anything. George Bush didn't do anything. Barack Obama didn't do anything. Trump got him the money. Okay. So I don't want to hear all this catering to the black vote. It's no surprise to me that all of a sudden Trump's like tripling his 2020 numbers with the black community. Why? Because some of them are starting to open up their eyes and go, they ain't doing squat. And then you add all the illegals come in and go, they're taking our jobs, they're taking our houses, they're taking our tax money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they're going, we don't want this. And I don't blame them. Flint McCrock, had to pray to Jesus to get me through gross anatomy. I did well after a few labs and kind of got used to it. Hey, not my field. Smirk on her face. New York budget prepper. Is PBJ interested in politics? If so, does she agree with me? No, she doesn't agree with me. She's kind of center left. Okay. But she's young, and she will eventually have her come to Jesus meeting. Wake up and learn. But you guys know how that goes. I mean, when you're in school and everything, things happen. And I've seen a shift. I mean, I've seen her go both ways. I mean, this is the kid I told you when he was 13 years old, called me up one day with a question about the G7. Okay. And I've seen her shift from right to left, back more toward the center here. So we'll see what she wins up. I mean, yeah. I know she's not a Trump fan. Let's put it that way. Healthy disrespect. When do you continue to fertilize peppers when they start producing? So far they're growing but not turning color. I planted yellow and red ones. Okay, what you're not using any more nitrogen. Okay, so at this point you're putting phosphorus into the fertilizer. That's basically all you need. They will turn color with time. I mean, my bell peppers are still maybe that big, not getting big bell peppers. My lunchbox peppers, the sweet little ones, those are, I'm picking half a dozen or so every few days that'll turn red. I mean, these are small peppers. Okay? And I've got 60 plants, and I'm getting 6-8 peppers every few days or whatever. There's a lot of green ones on there. It's still this is just the beginning of pepper season now. Okay, you'll be picking peppers all the way till October. Red Bimmer, what do I think of what RFK said about possibly winning through a 269 tie? Or would a Trump-Walz administration be more likely? The Trump-Walz administration is not going to happen no matter what. Guaranteed that one. Okay. But you've got to remember, it's the House that picks the president. Okay. This is why I have said to you guys many times, everybody's got to look at the ticket more than just the top of it. You got to know who your representatives are. You got to know what they stand for. Kind of hard on the Democrat side because they won't put a platform out. But you got to know what your senators stand for. It's not just, gee, this guy's been there forever, let's keep him. Okay. Some of them need to go. A lot of them need to go. Some of them need to die. A couple of them have. But it's important to know who you're electing. Are you electing a conservative? Are you electing a rhino? Are you electing a Democrat? Are you electing a liberal? It's not as cut and dry as Democrat, Republican. It's like listening to all these RFK supporters today, trying to figure out what they want to do. And it's like, oh, we've got to get an independent, a third party, an independent party in there. I'm like, guys, we already have an independent party. It's taken off like since 2016 because Trump ain't a Republican. I hate to tell you this, okay? He ran on the Republican ticket because that was the only way he was going anywhere. You look at Jill Stein or Cornel West or Ross Perot or anybody or RFK Jr. where third parties don't go anywhere. You want to be taken seriously as a candidate, you got to be one of the top two. You tell me how similar Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump are. They aren't, okay? Trump's not an establishment Republican. The Republican Party is dying. If not, it's already dead. MAGA is replacing it, and that's kind of where it's going. As for the 269 tie, it's possible, but at that point, you've got to have some of. I've gone through the map and done all sorts of crazy different things, and there's only like one goofy way that you can come up with it, and it's the independent districts in Maine and Nebraska come into play, and it's 270 to 268 is a real possibility. 269 not so much, but yeah, there ain't no way in the world Tim Wells is going anywhere near Washington. Red Raider says hello from Lubbock. I was in Lubbock, Texas one time. This was when I was stationed in El Paso, and I had to go do a week's TDY trip to Lubbock, Texas, and I couldn't tell you anywhere around there. I was working with a recruiter, and every day I had to go talk to a high school, so standing there in a high school gym or whatever and talk to the senior class about, potential for joining the Army. And knowing me, it was a little more fun than some guy giving a speech. So, but yeah, all I remember was I had to stay in this shitty ass hotel. It was like a Motel 6, good old Army spending money on the guys. And then there was a restaurant that was maybe a quarter of a mile up the street. Like it was kind of like a steakhouse maybe or something like that, burgers, that type of steakhouse. And I go up there every evening, have dinner, have a couple of beers, watch TV, go to bed, turn around, get back. It's like I couldn't wait to get back to El Paso. Because they didn't give me a car, they didn't give me nothing, so it's like, thanks a lot. Farm Ranch Homestead, RFK Jr. mentioned Tucker's interview of Kelly Means and suggested watching it. It's very informative. Somebody sent me the link to it today. I've been spending my time elsewhere. Caveman, look, anyone in East Tennessee have a female boxer puppy that needs a good home? Not me. North of the 52nd, I'm assuming you mean PBJ's. PBJ's skill set will be needed in a mag. Oh, absolutely. Medical experience. That's one of the hardest things for most people to get. Put down the wrong pipe. Sorry. Cyber 20s, did the peach wine meet your expectations? It was good. It was a little too thick. When we added maybe about an ounce of water or so to the each glass, then it thinned it out a little bit and actually brought the flavor out a little bit. So I'm still tweaking the recipes. But it was good. It was sweet. Jacqueline Presnell, good evening, Pinball. When do you plant your winter cabbage? I started my seeds about a week ago. They sprouted in a couple of days. They're all about that high right now. They're in your typical 3-inch cups. They will probably get planted for me somewhere around mid-September. from the cups into the ground, obviously. And then I've got like 65-day cabbage or whatever. Now, cabbage, I've said to you guys before, cabbage can handle a frost. Cabbage can handle temperatures down to about 25. Maybe we will get down to 25, maybe. I mean, a couple of years ago, we were in the 60s on Christmas. A couple of years, then I think that was like 3 years ago. And then 2 years ago, we were down to 10. So, winter crops are always a crapshoot, because if you get that real early deep freeze, you lose it all. But, got to try. So I got, 48 cabbage plants out there ready, or growing, ready to be planted in about 3 weeks. Aloha Jay. Evening, PBJ. What is the best wisdom your dad has taught you so far?
I'm just going to go with this because we talked about it earlier, but just like try everything once. Like,
Okay.
even if you're scared, just try it.
Hopefully you heard that. She said, try everything once, even if you're scared of it, at least try it. So I don't know if you consider that wisdom, but maybe it is. Hey. Squirrel 219. Wednesday is my 60th birthday. Happy birthday, you're a little early. I'm supposed to get 2 great grandbabies at the end of the year between Christmas and New Year. It's going to be a busy holiday season for you. Who knows if you're going to be cooking or heating up bottles at that point. Nobody here. Good evening, Pinball. Did you use the same recipe for all the wines you showed and talked about? Yes. Same recipe across the board. The only difference for because I made 2 videos. Okay. One out of bottled fruit juice, which is what this one is, and then one out of fresh fruit off the trees. The difference with the fresh fruit one off the trees is you have to add, if you've got a half a gallon of, pick one, strawberry juice, peach juice, pear juice, whatever, then you've got to add a half a gallon of the sugar water, the three cups of sugar in there. And that'll give you a moderate sweet wine. Mrs. P wanted a little sweeter, so we went with 4 cups of sugar for it. It came out very sweet. I will probably add a extra cup of water to each half gallon I use when I make it next time around. Like I said, you got to thin it just a little bit. It's not syrupy or anything like that, but a peach wine is more of a white wine. It doesn't have to have that same mouthfeel as a red wine does. It should be a little lighter. Deb's time 55. Have I heard anything else about the grid down that is supposed to happen? No, I have not. The only thing we're not gonna hear when it's gonna happen. We're just gonna be sitting on the couch or wake up one morning and go, light switch doesn't work. So no, I have not had anything. Frank Drebin, any chance of us getting to view PBJ giving dear old dad a kiss on the cheek, please?
Absolutely not.
No?
No.
My daughter doesn't love me. Sorry. Will PBJ recommend a book on assessment, please?
Assessment.
Okay, she kind of looked and goes, what do you mean by assessment? So, okay, I'm not sure what you mean either. Penny Trent, how do I get rid of poisonous snakes under my mobile? Buy a mongoose? I have no idea. Call a snake charmer? Yeah. Don't know. She's not liking my jokes. Okay, we shot to the bottom here, so I gotta see where we are. Okay. A1 prepping with Charlie Tuna. Lockdown's coming back. My thoughts, well, if you live in Massachusetts, you're already getting one. Because I guess they've got a 6 o'clock curfew in parts of Mass right now for equine encephalitis or something like this. I guess the mosquitoes out there are getting people with uh, equine encephalitis, basically. Hey, you can always be like Fauci and get West Nile. Pity you didn't freaking die. But Bernadette Prada, how do I protect my fig tree? I'm assuming you mean from the cold. We did the first year, okay, and then the root ball got strong enough. But what you do with the fig, get yourself a trash can, fill it with straw, and put it over the fig tree. You want to protect that from freezing when it's young. We did that the first year. It was fine. After that, every year, basically, and it's a fig bush, if you will. I mean, it's probably 4 or 5 feet high every year. And it'll die back. All the branches will die off. And then all new growth comes out from the ground. And like I said, this year, it's about 5 feet high right now. So. Brody, how do you preserve this year's potatoes for next year's planting? Okay. You're going to see a lot of people say, put it in a dark place, in a paper bag, stick it in the crawl space or in the basement where it gets no light, everything. Yeah, you can do that. All right. The problem is when you go get that bag out in the spring, you're going to have these runners on it that are 2 feet long and solid white. Okay. I do it different. I leave it just open air. Those plastic tubs you get, it's like 18 inches by 30 inches or whatever size they are. Plastic tubs, it's this high. I just throw my little potatoes in there. And last year it just sat in the corner of the living room, in a darker place, but I mean, it's still got some light and they'll shrivel a little bit. But when they're sprouting, when they're starting to chit, you're going to get a green chit to it, and it's going to stay short because it doesn't have to go looking for light. So when you've got the eyes on it at that point with green chits on it, it's real easy to put them in. You don't have these 2 foot long white runners that are because it's trying to find light. Just put it in the laundry room or a utility room or something. Maybe it gets a little bit of overhead light. That's it. Doesn't have to be pitch black. Pitch black is actually that's a negative. Deborah Tusa, since Joe Biden was on some state ballots for president before he dropped out, what's going to happen? I don't know. Remember we talked about that. There was an issue. There was a couple of states where they couldn't take Joe off they couldn't put Kamala Harris on the ballot. Now, whether or not the states changed the laws, I don't know. But at that point, it's like the old thing when you were a kid. If you don't like the rules, change them mid-game. That's the only way the Democrats can win anything. So I don't know how that's going to work. And because remember, every state has different rules how they do things. Now, if it's like Arkansas and Joe Biden's on the ballot, it's not like anybody cares. She's got 0 chance of winning a lot of these states. Farm Girl 1964, we want to see if PBJ looks like me. Half. Kind of like me, kind of like her mom. I don't know. Dale from Ohio, regarding RFK, watched his speech, couldn't help but feel some empathy for him. Seems to have a genuine love of God and country. I totally agree with you there. You think the timing of the announcement was strategic? Oh, absolutely it was. He didn't want to take away, I don't want to say didn't want to take away. He didn't want to compete with the news cycle of the convention because he wanted to get his last speech out, what he believes in. And there's no doubt that, he loves the country. There's no doubt that he's a firm believer in a lot of these processed foods and stuff we have are just absolute poison. He's right on all this stuff. And he wanted to get that word out. He didn't want to be buried on page 6 in the newspaper or something, or, 20 minutes into the news. He wanted to be at the top of the news cycle. And I don't blame him one bit for that. And I think it was an FU to the Democrats going, okay, you think you're going to have some sort of honeymoon period after your convention? I'm going to throw complete monkey wrench into the works here because I'm going to go, okay, you didn't want me running against Joe in the Democrat primary. Good. I'm going to endorse the Republican. See, the thing is, and this is kind of goes to what I said before, RFK is a Democrat. He's a slightly left-leaning Democrat, which I'd kind of pin this one to. If I had to put her on a spectrum, that's where I'd pin her. He's not a liberal. He's not a progressive. He's not a socialist. I know Trump was going, oh my God, he's far left of Kamala Harris. But no, he's not. Okay, never has been. He's very similar to his dad and his uncle, more of a centrist Democrat. There's a lot of things that he talks about that I like. There's some that he talks about that I don't, that I totally disagree with him. And that's good. But he's not Kamala Harris, where everything she talks about I disagree with. I'm sorry, I don't believe in abortion as a form of birth control. I don't believe in bringing in 20 million illegals. I don't believe in giving $25,000 to people to buy houses. Raise, what I tell you guys about the unrealized income tax and raising tax rates and sending more money to Ukraine. And she doesn't have anything that she believes in that I agree with. Kennedy's got some, and I think Kennedy would be a good balance, like I talked about this morning. I'd put Trump, if you get the right-left scale. Kamala Harris is not 9 o'clock. She's as far left as you get. Okay, Donald Trump's at about 2. Kennedy's at about 11:30. So if Kennedy could bring Trump maybe back to about 1, still slightly right of center, I think that would do Trump good. He could use a good, intelligent sounding board. Crochet, gotta love it. Love the shirt. Yes, those no snowflakes. Seriously, should I cut back plants and leave in the ground or pull them entirely over the winter? Depends on the plant. Some of them aren't going to survive the winter. Take tomatoes. They're not going to survive the winter. But your asparagus, that you cut those back. So it depends on the plant. Huts John, I'm not quite I'm trying to read this. I read it twice and it's not making sense. Why doesn't PBJ know Mrs. P? She does. After all, she's Russian. Yeah.
Maybe they misunderstood the question of whether I know Russian as a language
or know a Russian. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yes. Yeah. As she just said, it misunderstood the question. No, she doesn't know how to speak Russian. Okay. But yes, obviously she knows somebody that's Russian. Storm Chasing Gal. Yeah, I saw that. CNN totally making fun of RFK's voice disability was sickening. Yeah. Well, we can make fun of their brain disability all day long. It's just, but again, that was oh my God, he's not with us. He's now the enemy. We've got to do whatever we can to lie, cheat, steal, and, bash him because we don't have anything to talk about on our side. So the only thing we can have is, let's pick on them on their side. Look at the answer, get an argument with any liberal, and within 3 sentences, you're a racist. Because it's all they got, okay? They can't argue a point of anything, so all they can do is start hurling insults. Aaron Brody just smoked some oxtail making stock. There you go. Go carnivore. Yes, oxtail soup. Yes. We've got some oxtail out the freezer. Haven't made soup out of it yet. That'll be a fall time thing. Angel Murphy, I've never used a cordless hole puncher either, but I want to learn where to start. Cordless hole puncher is what you used today. Yes. That was it. If you know somebody who's can show you, that's great. If not, go take a course. You can community college will teach, some of them will teach marksmanship courses. Go into any gun shop and you will see there's business cards. I know the ones around here, business cards of guys who train people on different weapons. You know, I mean, a lot of times it's to prepare you for your CCW course or something like that if you want to get your concealed carry permit. So yeah, I mean, go into a gun shop and ask the guys at the gun shop. I guarantee you they're going to be able to tell you somebody who can teach you. David Haley, to me, you are famous. I don't watch TV, and you're one about the 6 creators I watch. Well, thank you, but God knows, God forbid, I never want to be famous. So, Crystal 10, not a question. Just want to let everyone know to keep an eye on voter registration. Mine was to invalid. I'm assuming changed and invalidated, as I'm guessing. Trying to fix it. Somehow the address was changed. Yeah. Go on your state secretary of state's office and make sure everything's correct. Okay. Because a lot of states, Tennessee did this last week, made photo ID required. You know, mostly the red states are making ID required. So, and some of it, you know, you need to know the laws too, because some of them have, was it, I want to say it was Arizona, made proof of citizenship required. So that means, you know, you've got a real ID, you know, your driver's license with the gold star in the corner, that would be enough. If you don't, like I got my driver's license before Tennessee went to real ID, so I can't get on an airplane with just my driver's license. Same thing. If I had to prove my citizenship, I have to take my passport with me or a birth certificate or something like that. But you know, birth certificate winds up a little iffy too, especially for the females, because if you're married, your name's different, you know, and you know you're going to get some idiot at the polls going, you know, especially if they're pissed about the ID thing. Your name doesn't match. I'm not accepting that. You know, so yeah. Andy, will the WEF and the oligarchs cheat us again? Listen to what I talk about tomorrow morning. I'm going to get into something along those lines about what's going on. But yeah, this is more than just the United States, guys. This is global. Hooza, not Hoosier, a creek in Missouri, nothing to do with Indiana. Just got back from Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge. Jeep invasion. Yes, that's insane down there from what I hear. I've obviously never been. I'm not a Jeepster, but Mr. and Mrs. Mountaintop Preps are, and they've been down to that thing before and have told me how insane it is. Sad. So if they confirmed Biden made money while in office, shouldn't he at least pay taxes on that money? You'd think, okay. I mean, sorry, you steal $27 million. You should see prison time, not a tax bill. Pennsylvania country girl. Major oil spill over there someplace worse than the one Exxon did, the Exxon Valdez. Going to be a mess. I have not heard anything about it, so I don't know where or what. So, but again, I was a little away from news, certainly today, not doing anything. There was other stuff to do, but you know, usually I will sit and see what's going on in the world till about 10 in the morning. Then I'll pick it up somewhere mid-afternoon. Didn't have a chance to do that today. Ed Kirkpatrick, I'm assuming that's Zelensky. Did I hear that Zelensky's wife bought a $12 million Bugatti? I heard there was stories on, there was like a $4 million Bugatti maybe about a month ago that then got disproven. I haven't heard anything about a $12 million one. Penny Trent, anatomy is a 5-credit course, hard class, so good job getting an A. There you go. Yeah, I mean, first semester in PA school, 19 credit hours. In a summer semester. You can imagine, it's like, I didn't call her. It's like, I text her, like, call me when you're free, because it was like school all day, study all night, sleep. Yeah. Just wondering how tall is PBJ? What are you, 5'8"?
Yeah, like 5'7" and some change.
Yeah, 5'7", 5'8". Good Oz. Obama took a shot at Trump for bragging on crowd sizes. Yeah, a very crude one as it was. Michael Steele posted today that Harris's DNC speech had 500,000 more watching than Trump's. Make it make sense. Very simply, this is easy to make sense. Liberals don't watch the conservative convention. Conservatives do watch the liberal convention because you've got to remember most liberals don't have a clue. I mean, there's hundreds of hours of news media, man on the street, TikTok people, whatever it is. What do you like about Kamala Harris? What's Kamala Harris's? Why do you want to vote for her? Because she's a woman. Because she's black. I mean, this is it. Nothing about the economy, nothing about any policies, nothing about her accomplishments, not that she has any. Nothing. They don't know anything. So they don't care about that. It's all identity politics to them. Conservatives watch the DNC because they want to see what they're up against. So it's intelligence gathering, but you have one side that doesn't have any intelligence. So the hell with the gathering part. OBX Dewey, do you think when the illegals are made citizens and get the right to vote that they'll dump the current Democrats and vote their own in, like how Omar got elected in Congress, or how Rashida Tlaib got in, or anything like that? I mean, I've got no problem with. Right, first off, don't take this the wrong way. I've got no problem with somebody like Ilhan Omar representing her district in Minneapolis that is primarily Somalian, or Rashida Tlaib representing her district around Dearborn, which is primarily Muslim. That's what you want, somebody to represent your interests. I got a problem with both women, don't get me wrong. Okay. But if they have similar interests, that makes sense. If you have a largely Hispanic community, I'd assume you're going to elect a Hispanic representative. I want you to. They're going to represent your interests, okay? Or a black community, or a rural community, or whatever. I don't want some New York lawyer, for example, my representative here. Well, you know what? I moved down here from Manhattan, and I'm going to run for Congress, and I'm a lawyer. And okay, because you got to live in most states for 2 or 3 years before you can run for office. I don't want, New York City running my area, and I wouldn't expect the South Side of Chicago to, elect Ted Cruz, for example, or something. Yeah, you want representation that fits the community. RDNKRFNK, Redneck Funk. We'll try that, maybe. Redneck Roughneck. I'm trying to guess. Okay. Center left is still right of rhinos. Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, rhinos fit in that liberal column. Heather Bray, I'm glad that PBJ speaks her mind. We all change our minds from time to time. I've changed my mind on issues. There's no question about it. And I mean, not that I've ever wavered from being a conservative, but some of the sub-issues throughout my life, my positions have softened. Some of my positions, they've hardened too. So, yeah, I mean, as we get older, again, going right back to the last question, some of your ideas change because your life changes, I mean, when you're 22 years old and they're saying they're going to cut Social Security, you don't care, okay? When you're 62 years old and they say they're going to cut Social Security, now it's important to you, I mean, there's just a simple one there. Dan 2832, do I miss Italian beef? Yes, I do. And like I said, we got to go up to Indy later this coming week, and Youngin here informed me that there's a Portillo's near the hotel where we're going to stay. So yes, there is an Italian beef and a Chicago hot dog in my future in the next 6 days. Soul Reaper. I've made Italian beef at home a few times. I still can't make it as good, but it's close. Soul Reaper, Pinball. I can't shake the feeling that with all the potential hope and enthusiasm for a major Trump victory this November, that something will happen to crap in our Cheerios before the election. Oh, there's gonna be an October surprise. There's no question. And everybody's there's always an October surprise. Maybe it's something like, cigars in the Oval Office again. Who knows? Maybe it's China shutting down the grid like it's been talked about. Who knows? Something will happen that will swing the vote about 1%. That's usually where it moves. I mean, the last two elections would have been enough to flip it the other way. People have talked about, oh, Biden's going to die and they're going to make Kamala Harris president, and then she's going to declare martial law and there's no election. And it's like, okay, no, that she doesn't have that authority, and that, just because she was made president 3 weeks before an election doesn't mean that there's no election. It's like somebody sent me an email today again about one of these British tabloids saying Kamala Harris isn't eligible to be president because her parents weren't citizens when she was born. I'm like, it doesn't freaking matter. I love when foreign journalists try to go, I know about the U.S. Constitution. Hey, Britain, the reason we have the U.S. Constitution is because we kicked your ass 250 years ago. You don't know shit. James Farmer, what do I think about those two people stuck in space? I guess it came out tonight that Elon Musk is now going up with one of his rockets or whatever, and going up to rescue them. And the running joke is he going to send Boeing the bill? If you own stock in Boeing, still probably not a good idea. I mean, planes falling out of the sky, leave people stranded in space. Boeing's, kind of looking like, I don't know, not good. So, Stay1085 was watching Patera's live, and she and chat were talking about intermittent fasting and eating less. So now get ready. So what a ration for getting ready. Okay, so first off, if you know what intermittent fasting is, and depending on the person, some do 6 hours, some do 8 hours. It's where you eat all your meals in a day in a 6-hour window or an 8-hour window. So say you eat from 10 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. That's it. Nothing before 10 o'clock, nothing after 6 o'clock. Okay. If you're doing one meal a day, like I try to, not always can, then I'm literally getting practically 24-hour intermittent fasting. It allows your body to, when you run out of the sugars in your body to burn as energy, then you start burning the fat. That's the idea for it. Pamela Crabtree, yeah, we've talked about this a couple of times. The port employees strike is predicted for October 1st. This is your longshoremen, guys. If the longshoremen go on strike, remember what happened? This is where I talked about a couple of weeks ago. Remember what happened during COVID when the Port of Los Angeles, Port of Long Beach basically were shut down because there was nobody there. We have nothing coming in, nothing going out. And they're on strike for 2 days, let's say. It's not just, on day 3, everything's back to normal. No, now you got 2 days worth of backed up ships waiting to come in. I mean, they're coming in and going out all the time. So, yeah, we could have, depending on this strike, how long it goes, we could have major supply issues. There's an October surprise for you. 9:59, one more. Linda Friesen, my tomatoes are not turning red anymore. Does that mean the plant is done, still has flowers? No, what it means is you're just not getting enough ethylene gas from them. We talked about this on Tuesday. If you need to pick them green, I mean, if you can get them if they're slightly blushed, that's a good start. Take them in the house, put them in a paper bag, throw a banana in there with them. let the banana turn brown. That banana is going to let off a lot of ethylene gas that will help turn the tomatoes red. That's what you know. Put them in a brown paper bag and let them sit in there for a few days. That should do it. Okay, because tomatoes ripen from the inside out. When the outside is red, the inside's long since been red. You know, there's a lot of times you can cut open a green tomato and you'll see it's pink and red inside already because it ripens from the inside out. So, all right, guys, it was actually a quick hour. We made it through it. So, have a good evening. We'll see you in the morning. Have a good one. Pinball out.